Being 5:15, I'd like to call the Board of Public Works Monday, January 6, 2025 meeting to order. Stand for a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any changes to the agenda? No change. Thank you. Looking for a motion. Motion made by Mr. Ritchie, second by Mr. Herter to adopt the agenda as written. Any further question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public input. We'll come up one at a time, and can you state your name and your address, please?
My name's Kelly Keefer, I live at 639 East Quincy Street here in town. First, I'm gonna start off, Mr. Mayor, you made a comment to me a couple of minutes ago about how you said that one of your biggest things is people never come to these meetings.
Yep.
And honestly, as a resident of 13 years now, I think it is, whatever it is, 14 years, I think the biggest reason people don't come to any of these meetings is they don't feel anything's ever gonna change in this town. They feel like everything is the way it is, and that's just the way it's gonna stay. And to be honest and fair, up until all this started with the garbage, it was the exact same way. Most people feel like you guys are gonna do whatever it is that you feel is the way it's gonna be. To hell with what anybody else says. And I ran across a couple of you on Facebook in the conversations we've had about this garbage. Some of your minds are so closed that you're not open to anything. You'll make 1,000 excuses to cover up what you don't want to change. You want the people to engage, listen. I can tell you that in all the years I've been here, I've never met my representative once. I have no idea who they are. But I got upset enough about this garbage and listening to people from other municipalities around us, they said, it's time to speak up. That's the biggest thing. You want people to come to these meetings, start reaching out to your constituents. That's the biggest thing. You want them to be a part of it, make them feel like they're heard. But as for this, the reason I'm here tonight is because that you guys are actually going to talk about this garbage thing, which I'm happy to hear. I think it's about time. This garbage has gone on far long enough, left unchecked and out of control. Every time we turn around, we're getting another price increase or another fuel surcharge. I'm in business for myself as well. I own a small business. I run a fleet of trucks. I have never put a fuel surcharge on one of my customers unless the fuel spikes further than I could ever anticipate. It's built into the price of doing business, not in the business of basically screwing your customers. And that's what GFL is doing. I've heard every excuse as to why garbage shouldn't be brought on by the city. It's going to raise our taxes because we have to hire another person to do it. I'm not going to force my constituents to take garbage that they don't want. Over and over and over again. If you want to give them the opt-out option, give it to them. But my God, stand up for your constituents and stop letting them get bent over. Town of Dale's paying $165, Ortonville's paying $114 a year. I implore you guys, for once, stand up. The survey that was on the website was fairly well hidden and hard to find. But still, people found it. And the overwhelming majority said, we want you guys to contract the garbage for us. At least negotiate on our behalf as residents. My father lived in the town of Neenah for years. The Neenah negotiated, town of Neenah negotiated on their behalf. They still got the bill and they still paid it. Nothing would change there. The city's not responsible for a thing. You're just negotiating on your residents' behalf. The Facebook posts, time and time again, you guys haven't seen that. I don't know where you've been hiding. I know you have, Mr. Mayor. You've been a part of that discussion more than once. You and I have gone back and forth.
Correct.
Look at all your residents on there screaming how mad they are. Does that not say something to any of you? There was a grand total, I think, of 280 some odd comments on that one post alone. The residents are mad. They're fed up. They want change. It's about time you guys do something about it. Not just from getting a bid from GFL, but multiple companies. Too many times we hear you guys, the first words out of your mouth when you want an estimate, GFL. Why is that? Why do you not think of other places? There are multiple other companies that do the same things you may be looking for. Last meeting I was at, we were looking for big dumpsters for possible large disposal for residents. Only name I heard mentioned is GFL. Why? Because of some unwritten agreement from years ago? Too scared to make a change? What? Because I know the residents, like I said, I know the residents are mad. I'm mad. I know many of them don't show up, but like I said, I think that's again because they don't think you guys are going to listen. But I think with what has been said over the last few weeks, 3 months on social media and your survey, I think you'd look pretty damn foolish if you don't listen to it this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay. Okay, being no further comment, we'll move forward. Looking for approval of the minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Ritchie, second by Mr. Herder, to approve December 2nd and December 9th, 2024 meeting minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next on the agenda, wastewater treatment plan updates. Mr. Garski.
All right, thank you. Ben had the notes included in your packets. I'll just briefly touch on a few of them. Donahue continues to work on their preliminary compliance alternative plan. This will probably be an ongoing thing till right up to that June 2025 deadline. More than likely we'll have several meetings on this once they come up with a few design plans to try to meet this phosphorus compliance, and it won't be just focusing on the phosphorus. There's other aspects that they see down the road that is going to start coming up, so they're going to try to address these as well. There's still no movement in the digester coating. That's still at the attorney level, and they keep discussions going. So hopefully we come to some resolution soon. I had a feeling that we're this late in the winter that more than likely anything that'll be done will happen more than likely after May. Once that opened area is exposed to all this cold air, you're talking, a bunch of different temperature changes at different levels of that digester. So more than likely, even with tenting it and trying to coat it this time of year would be a hard chore to do. So more than likely, this will be something that happens in May. Lift station 2, they've had some issues with it. I actually have an update on that. They did some testing on the motors, and the pump motors themselves is good. So they're looking at a couple other things, some wear plates to maybe help those pumps function properly, get more years of life out of them. The RFPs went out for the sewer cleaning and televising. We'll hear something by mid-January when they're due. And this year, up until the date that Ben wrote this up, he showed that the city has collected a total of $284,442.04 from waste brought in from holding septic and high strength waste. That was not included or including the $56,718.79, which GLK brought in when they were running into those issues at their plant and getting rid of their waste. So all in all, a good year. And a lot of work on their part, especially running with one digester and monitoring everything and keeping things running smooth. So a big kudos to Ben and his crew. Does anybody have any questions on Ben's notes?
I have a quick one, maybe we have to wait till Ben's here, but at what point does this coating on this digester? At what point, like, now we have an opportunity to bring in increased revenue with Galloway? At what point do we start tabulating that lost revenue and putting that on the bill? That, I mean, obviously, we're gonna hold them accountable to make due for the crap job that they did from day one, twice, not once, but twice. But now we're losing revenue. I mean, we may lose an agreement with Galloway for future revenue. I mean, can we get some kind of agreement in place with Galloway right now so that we have some damages to hold over there besides what we've already lost? I mean, it's getting to where, you know, I don't know, what do we, can we get the federal government involved, which never is good, but I mean,
No, what ends up happening is, eventually, if we can't come to agreements, you always go after the prime contractor for that job. You can't go after a subcontractor because technically we don't have a contract with them, so August Winters was the prime on that contract for that digester coating. And if it came down to it, we'd have to go after the bonding through them in order to get this result, but then you're talking 2 years. Probably, I mean, all the litigation and attorney fees and everything else to go through that. Right now, they're meeting to try to, all parties are working together that are involved in this, trying to hit that where everybody gives a little. The only thing they're asking from us was that, you know, when we first brought it up, was to say if all those steps were followed, that we were to give up the option of the 1-year warranty, which I was comfortable doing because I think these two failures all had to do with application. And if you go back and you look through all the notes and all the inspections, it all comes down to application and maybe and if or the product they were using. And if that's the case, and we come to the conclusion that it is installed properly this third time, I'd be more than happy, but right now, the attorneys are working through it to try to figure out what course of action we take. I'm just on the outside getting updates. We're keeping track of items like natural gas costs, because that's the digester that produced our natural or our methane to help heat those digesters. And they were paying it up until this last fallout. So all of this stuff is, you know, the notes are being kept and we're keeping track of everything that's going on. But right now, you know, our hands are tied until they figure out what direction. And, you know, our city attorney, you know, Mr. Steckbauer, he's helping us out. So we're hoping we get down to the bottom of it and as fast as we can, but I mean, this has been drug out. Well, you know how long. We saw the lid off forever, and even before that, we were battling it, so.
I just, to me, it feels like sometimes attorneys can drag things out too for, you know, hope there's no attorneys in here, but for their own financial benefit, and I just think that maybe they need to get a letter from us saying we've now turned down a revenue from Galloway, and this is gonna be applied to damages that are already owed. I mean, we can't just keep kicking the can down, you know what I mean? Something, put a fire under their ass, I guess, but it's just, it's disgusting to me.
And there was email conversations today from our attorney. We saw it from our attorney and their attorney one of their attorneys were talking, so they're talking yet. It's not like they're waiting months to before they talk next, so conversation continues.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
No further questions for Mr. Garsky. Thank you, Robert. We can move on to discuss action on survey results for contracted city garbage disposal. Robert?
Okay, so the survey results are in. We received 285 responses. Out of those 285, 91.9 or 92% say they currently pay a contractor to pick up the garbage at the curb in front of their residence. 6% said they transport to a drop-off location, and a very small amount kind of filtered in with different comments that doesn't really, well, it kind of applies, but the rentals and stuff like that, they have their own garbage pickup deal with dumpsters and stuff like that. So in the next slide, the out of the responses, would you support the city in bidding out garbage collection service under a citywide contract? 76.1% said yes, they would prefer that the city go out and bid for it, and 24 or 23.9 said no. So that equates to 217 residents out of the 285 said they wish we'd go out to bid for garbage services. For the opt-out, 65% said no to opting out, which means, well, 17% said they voted no on the previous question. And out of that 18% that said yes, provide an opt-out. If you do the math, that means 11% of the people in favor of wanting the city to go out and bid wish there was a opt-out option for it. So with that, if you have any, or if you'd like to discuss this, to start the discussion on where this committee would like to, what direction you'd like to go, or if you have more questions for me or are looking for more information.
I guess I'd question the legitimacy of the survey. I know originally when you first put it out, you had emailed saying somebody flooded it with responses. So, I mean, 285 responses isn't a lot. It wouldn't take much to sway it either way, but I understand. I do talk to constituents, and I understand that people are frustrated, but that's, like I said, the survey is just kind of okay.
I think part of the reason we did not get more response, I know myself, when I've talked to 4 or 5 people, that by the time we got the surveys in the mail, you couldn't even get involved in this. I know I talked to Robert one night, I said, yes, I said, had I got the survey, I definitely would have voted yes on everything. But I said, when my mail came with that survey in it, everything was already closed. I couldn't even vote. And like I said, I've talked to at least 5 people that told me the same thing. By the time they got the survey, they didn't even get a chance
Yeah, we sent that into New London Utilities at the end of November, end of October. Thinking that it's a contracted company that does that. They send in a contracted company because they send out all the utility bills. We figured out by the middle of December, that should be all disseminated out there, but come to find out, it didn't come out until middle of December. The second, billing didn't come out, second
Right.
publication didn't come out to the middle of December. So we found out, once we heard that, we opened it back up. Now granted, it said, the survey was gonna close middle of December. We kept it open until January 1st. We did collect some more, some people did go online and collect some more. But yeah, we were under the impression that information would have went out a lot quicker than what that company did send it out with. So,
Yeah, I'm not blaming you. If we're gonna blame anybody, I'd blame the postal service because I still have not gotten a gas bill. I finally called the gas company today. Oh, we mailed that out the 20th of December. I said, don't shut off my gas. I want service, but I haven't got a bill from you yet. So I mean, I'm not blaming you. If there's a blame, I think it's our postal service is getting slower.
well, I think in this case, it was that company that didn't get it in right away. They pushed off, when it was actually inserted farther down the line than what we thought it was going to be. So in hindsight,
The half the utility bills went out in time.
Yep.
So half of them did not get. At 285 responses, that is 3% of our population. Correct, roughly?
though I have to crunch numbers now.
I mean, I think it's something we've got to act on, even at this percentage. It's showing that people want us to do something.
And when you typically do a survey, you're not getting 90% of the population, filling out a survey. I mean, I've heard in the past, if you get 15, 20%, you're lucky when you have the survey filled out. So, you're not going to get the full 100% of the population with a survey like that. But I mean, the question that you guys have to ask yourself, I mean, was this enough of a representation across the city, to give you enough input of what people feel?
The comment was made that it's always mentioned about GFL. Well, there's no agreement with the city that I'm aware of that says that they have to pick our garbage. It's just been the local guy that's probably pushed out other people, honestly, because it's kind of their backyard type thing. I don't believe it's that we think we have to go with them, because quite honestly, all the constituents could have chose somebody else than GFL for years,
Really couldn't,
John.
because we couldn't get one company to come in for 3 houses, 4 houses. They couldn't justify bringing $100,000 truck to pick up 4 houses. It's just gone left unchecked. That's the easiest way to put it.
So I have an email from Harders. Because I have also asked the question. I also called them and got service to my own residents. Says we have received many residential requests from the residents in the surrounding area of New London in the past week or so. Depending on where their address is, we are able to service. We currently service many townships around New London, such as Hortonville, Fremont. We also do have subscription customers in Royalton and Lebanon. That's the end of the email. I just wanted that to be known because they will pick up here. Other places do come into the city and pick up garbage.
You got Harders?
I did not go with them.
Oh.
I set up service because I wanted to see, because that's what I was hearing, that no other companies would come in. Did my own research. Then after I did that, I also had people, Mr. David Pino told me that they won't come in there. So I emailed them just to find out, because something wasn't jiving with the information. Just wanted to know before we came into the meeting.
I know I've told this story to many people, but I had rental property in Hortonville when they went to a citywide contract. I had the renter called me one day and said that, well, for one, the garbage can is about half the size of the garbage can we have now with their contract. Renter calls me and says that the garbage man had stolen their garbage can. And I said, what do you mean? They said, they picked it up, they put it in the truck and it fell in. So I called Herders and I said, you know, your garbage man accidentally took the garbage can. And they said, no, they didn't. I said, well, I need another garbage can. You know, it's on my tax bill. You know, your tax bill is garbage, $600 a year or whatever. I need a garbage can. I can't just put a regular garbage can out there. You have to have your garbage can. So they said, okay, it'll be another $100. I said, you stole my garbage can, you know, and I had no other choice. I had to spend the $100 to get another garbage can. So, I mean, with a citywide contract, what kind of service are you going to get? They're forcing you to have their service. So, I mean, there's really no incentive. You know, competition is good for, you know, prices and stuff like that. Like you said, you can get other services in town. So, those are some of my experiences with a citywide contract. So also, I believe that I don't believe on forcing services on people. There are many snowbirds in the community that are gone 6 months out of the year. Now you're forcing them to pay for garbage that they don't use. I just believe in the freedom of choice, the freedom of, you know, do what you want with, you know, not forcing the citizens to do a certain way and putting it on their tax bill. So that's all I got.
So I also did research. I did reach out to other constituents and had conversations, and I will tell you that it's a pretty 50-50 split on what you just said, of people that wanted us to go out to bid and people that don't for the same reasons. That's where I'm with it. I'm at a 50-50 with the input that I've gotten back. I did follow the Facebook stuff. It wasn't all negative. It wasn't all reaching out for contracts. Again, there was people that were against it as well. And also, you take in a grain of salt that we heard that there was 200 comments on there. Of those 200 comments, I don't know how many of them are residents of the city of New London. I know there's a good majority of them, but not all of them.
Chad, how does that work again with Outagamie County?
Mhm.
Because we have a agreement for recycling, which is free, we don't pay for it. Some cities pay for it, but I think the only thing we paid for as taxpayers was your recycling container stays with your property.
Mhm.
That was a one-time, you know, I think it was $60 or something, or but that somehow has a bearing on our garbage collection.
Mhm.
How does that work?
So to bring that back years ago, and I can't remember, it was within the last 12-ish, maybe 12 to 15 years. Outagamie County worked with, and I don't know if they have 100% of the municipalities in Outagamie County, but they got most that have entered into this contract with Outagamie County for the recycling program. So how it works is that the residents nor the municipality pays Outagamie County anything for the collection of recycling material. However, the deal is that all the solid waste that's collected in that municipality that has the contract for the recycling with Outagamie County, all the solid waste has to go to the Outagamie County landfill, and they charge a little bit extra for the solid waste, which subsidizes the recycling program. So in a nutshell, the residents of New London are paying a slightly higher rate for the dump charges through the provider that they have, which subsidizes, and they're paying for the recycling part of it through their solid waste fees. The municipality, back at that time, all the municipalities back at that time were responsible for getting the totes, the garbage totes, which that was an assessment put on everybody's tax bill. So if someone does need a new tote, or if there's a new house that's built that needs a tote, they are charged, you know, for that tote. But then 100% of the solid waste is supposed to go to the Outagamie County landfill, which subsidizes the recycling program. So that's another factor with that, so.
So like if a resident wanted Wittenberg disposal,
Mhm.
they take to a different landfill,
No. 100%,
Yeah, right.
according to our ordinance,
has to go, right?
if Harders, if GFL, if whoever else in the city, collects solid waste, so if Harders does come and collect 5 houses, by our ordinance, they are supposed to be taking that solid waste.
Those
to
5 houses at least have to go to
Outagamie County, because that money subsidizes the recycling program that they're getting collected through the county.
So it's not just a good old boy, we're driving new pickup trucks because we're friends with GFL. It's,
No, it doesn't matter.
it's
who collects.
landfill, it's factors, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who collects. The ordinance calls for anybody who does collect in the city limits, that material is supposed to go to the county, Outagamie County.
So if I wanted to start up a garbage company to compete with GFL.
Mhm.
And I started picking up garbage in New London, I'd be driving to Outagamie County landfill by ordinance, pretty much.
Under the current contract and by city ordinance. Now, if the council, the city wants to revisit that, I don't know if any other municipalities in Outagamie County have broken off from that. Something we can ask and look into, but,
Plus they pick up our Wapaka County recyclables too, just, yeah,
the 100% of the city,
right.
even those in Wapaka County, everything goes to Outagamie County, even if you live in the city limits in Wapaka County.
To me as a council member, it's frustrating. When I hear about these big fights on Facebook and stuff and I'm accused of different things, I don't have Facebook, I'm lucky I got text messaging on my cell phone and email, I'm not a Facebook guy and never will be. I feel like residents don't know all of those factors, that every factor is unique. We're unique. We're in 2 counties. We're unique in other ways. I do feel that we're responsible for having a recycling program that doesn't cost people money. I also agree with Tim and the mayor on, I'm a big proponent of property owners' rights. I don't like services that are forced on people. I pay for a dumpster at my business that's never full. My dumpsters, if I'm lucky, is half full, and I got probably 10 people in town that throw their stuff in my dumpster. The one that really makes me mad is the fish guts in the summer. But I just, personally, I don't like forced services unless it's a big problem. I don't like monopolies, but I don't think what we have here is quite a monopoly. We have factors involved. And I just, I appreciate the survey and stuff like that. But, I think if you really do your research and look around other communities, the grass isn't necessarily probably greener over there. When a village or a city just has a forced garbage collection fee thing. Yeah.
My feeling is, what do we lose by going out and finding what other companies are gonna charge? If they're gonna charge a higher price because of the fact that we belong to Outagamie County's recycling, that's gonna come out. It's not gonna hurt us at all to go out and see if we can get somebody to come in here at a better rate. As far as, you can talk about the city picking up garbage. My thing is, I see 3-4 GFL trucks in town every time they're picking up garbage, which to me would say, if we try to do it on ourselves, we're gonna have to buy 4 garbage trucks at what, $450,000 or better. So to go out and get a survey and find out if anybody will give us a better deal, that's what we should do. And that'll tell the people, okay, we can come back and say to the people, okay, this is what we did. I know years ago, when Gratian was picking up in town, we kind of went through this at one time. We had a couple people in, different companies in here. Gratian come right out and gave us a better deal than anybody else. So that we stayed at that time. That's years ago. But I think we should go out and try it. Find out what it's gonna cost. Then we can tell the people, okay, this is what this one's gonna charge you, this is what this one's gonna charge. If you wanna switch, this is what it's gonna cost. We made an effort to go out and see what we could find out.
I just think we're opening a can of worms here. Who's gonna field all the phone calls? My garbage can got stolen, or they didn't pick up today. Where's the garbage man? You know,
That's gonna be my
the
next question
staffing.
too, the administration costs.
So, leading on to Mike's, comments there, if this is something that you're interested in, I don't know about just asking what the quotes would be. I mean, it's the point of getting a citywide contract is having a competitive bidding process. That's what's, you've got competition of those, groups bidding on, we're gonna have to figure out how many people, how many households are in New London right now and kind of give an apples to apples number for the companies to bid on. But Tim is exactly right. We are short-staffed already. I've said this numerous times, and every time we turn around, people want more service from the city, and that's fine. But we need to make sure we have the manpower to do these things. To Tim's point, if we take on a citywide contract, we're gonna get the phone calls, just like Tim said, my garbage can's gone. Hey, I put my garbage can out in time, but they didn't pick it up, which, did they put it out in time? Who knows? New houses that are built. There's gonna be a slew of things. It's gonna take manpower and things to do that. Can we figure out what the assessment cost would be to the taxpayers to factor in what we need to make this happen for manpower? Sure, that's possible. But do not think that we're just gonna be able to take on this service with the current manpower that we have. We will have to look at more manpower. We're already behind, we already are struggling to keep up with the services we have. So there's going to have to be some extra costs for administration factored in, 100%.
And we are already fielding calls and we're not involved whatsoever with both trash and recycling.
Well, I don't think it's the city's responsibility to get rid of a homeowner's trash. I mean, GFL took over from Gracian's. Gracian's been here for everybody, forever. They're not contracted by the city, so the homeowner can do the paperwork and search for a new garbage man to come in and pick up the garbage.
So say we do go for a competitive bid.
Mhm.
We have the right to reject.
Sure. Yep. You could do the competitive bid process, but we would have to put together a bid packet and go through the whole process of, figuring out that packet and make sure that it's an apples to apples comparison, put it out there. We would want to factor in what we feel like it would need for manpower, in that cost. That can definitely be done, Robert's got a lot of time to be working on it. My point is, it takes time to do this as well.
And the problem with that ability to opt out, are you ever gonna have a true number? When you do go for a contract,
Mhm.
you're not gonna know. Say we go with a contract and we get at this rate per household. And all of a sudden it gets sent out to everybody and you get 20% or whatever that say no. Do they had to honor that price that they quoted us, or now that we're a little bit less people, are they gonna raise that price? Is that price gonna be based on our 7,000 some odd people?
Mhm.
And if it's less, is that going to affect that bid price in the end?
We would have to talk to other municipalities to see how they word that in their contract. You know, is it X amount of dollars per household per year, you know, and I would assume that the contract is just, this is what the base is, whether it goes up or down, it's that much per household to pick up for the year. But I've heard horror stories from other municipalities that they've gotten rid of the opt-out option because it's an administrative nightmare, because people are jumping on and off all the time, you know. Like the snowbird situation, they're on for a while, then they jump off for a while, and there's a ton of administration time with the opt-out option. I've heard of other communities that have gotten rid of it because it's just very labor intensive and a nightmare to do that.
Can't GFL tell us how many people are picking up in town?
We can ask whether they want to disclose that information. I don't know.
Yeah, they're in a business, you know, they're not gonna give you a call.
I mean, we can tell you how many households in New London. I can talk to New London
Well,
Utilities and tell you we have
We can't,
households.
we can't say that 100% of households are picking up garbage, because I can look around in a 3-4 block area and see 4 or 5 houses that I know don't have garbage cans.
Mhm.
So we can't take a number of strictly by how many households are in flood. I understand that.
Unless you get rid of the opt-out option. If you get rid of the opt-out option, you would assess every household for garbage collection to make sure that they have an option for that.
I don't think we should have an opt-out. We have, you pick it up, say, goes on your taxes. If you have an opt-out, probably it's gonna make our costs more. People say they take the garbage in, but really, do they really? I know a couple houses that don't.
Belinda just asked a question. Robert gave us some comparisons with the other municipalities several meetings ago. You don't happen to have that information at your fingertips, or
I don't know.
do you remember what month we looked at that? I could look up that agenda quick, but if you guys remember, Robert did, you know, survey some of the other communities to see what they're paying for their citywide. So we did have that information. We provided that in the past.
When you actually reached out to Harder, the GFL, they really didn't want much. I mean, they didn't,
That was more for the
The-
bulky
the bulky overflow.
bulk
okay.
residential collection.
But you did have some costs of what other municipalities were for citywide contracts, right?
Yeah.
I can see if I can search for that real quick.
Like Greenville is 136 a year.
It may have been the October meeting.
Any other inputs while we're into more input, the better.
There's
I
a
don't-
lot of,
I- go ahead.
there's a lot of repercussions about this. Let's say we send out to bid and GFL doesn't get the contract. There's people in this community that work there. Now they're not getting so many houses, maybe there's gonna be layoffs. I'm just saying, there's a lot to this than just, let's have a garbage contract, you know?
There's just as many people on the other side that don't want us to go out to bid either, or don't care. I mean, we're talking about a portion of our constituents that want this. Is that the right thing for all of them?
What would happen, if we would say, let's just throw a number out, 80% of the households, if we would go out for bid and give the companies, this is what we estimate, and they can give us a number. Don't take 100% of our household, take a number like 80%, which might be a halfway good guess of what people actually are using the service. and ask for a bid and see what happens.
So Robert, I think this was in May. And this was in your memo. I don't know if you want to comment.
Yeah, that was the range I found from 133 to 195 per year.
Looks like most had like a 5-year contract.
Yes.
So if we had that, it'd still raise every year.
Well, you would see an increase every year. And we would have to talk to other communities, how they deal with, you know, fuel inflations and things like that. And we would just have to do a bunch of research to see what's the standard contract for how they set these up.
I'm not opposed to going out and seeing what they can provide for a competitive bid. I mean, I am for the opt-out option. I just think that's a way to answer the needs of everyone. Is it perfect? No. But I mean, just as we're being asked now by a portion of their constituents to go out for bid, there's other ones that don't want to do it and they shouldn't be forced to it, just like ones are saying they shouldn't be forced to get high prices. So having that option to opt out for me is a huge one for those that don't want it. For whatever their reasons may be, I don't know.
I'm sure there's neighbors that kind of share a little bit if you got, you know, single,
Heard a lot of that.
like a one person in a house and share with your neighbors or something, you know, throw that one bag a week into mine or something. And you'd hate to have them be forced to pay for something.
Yeah, I have a few neighbors that do that.
I think that would definitely be the wrong thing to do to force everybody. My opinion. Any other questions? If not, I guess we need a direction to go in.
Where do you want to go?
Need a motion for a direction and then we can take a vote and see what we come up with.
Motion has come from a committee member.
Correct.
I'll make a motion that the city, somebody from the city contacts other waste people to find out what it would cost for a city contract to pick up garbage. Even though I'm against it, I'll make the motion. Second.
So motion made by Mr. Ritchie to have the city go out and actually do a bid.
Are we doing an official bid process then? Or is it
And
just-
that's,
No, just get information on what it would cost if the city went out and got a bid from different contractors that pick up garbage.
You want it based on the number of houses? How do you have to set a parameter on what? kind of
Correct. We'd have to figure out something that's apples to apples and
I mean, if you
Based
can
off
find
of-
out from GFL how many actual residents they pick up in the city. Cause then you'd have something to go on for the other contractors. Say we got 2,000 residents that you pick up, what would it cost for a city contractor for you to come in and do that? Cause right now, we have nothing to go on. I mean, we know what some of the people in town want, and we know what some of the people in town don't want. So what are you gonna do? You gotta have stuff on paper in front of you before you can make a decision on anything.
So with that said, I think that's a lot of work for nothing, because we still have to go out to competitive bid. if we wanna move forward. I mean, that's gonna put us in the ballpark, but we're still ain't gonna have no actual numbers to move on.
And the only thing with that is if you're just asking for comp data from these vendors, and we provide all that data, they might not want to show their hand of what they're thinking, and then all of a sudden we do the bid process, and then all of a sudden they're, well, you are, competing with them, but I don't know if how much they're gonna wanna be exact and show their hands of what they would give.
So we still have a
without being
motion on the
without
board
being a
though.
bid.
Okay, I'll rescind the motion I had and change it to do it so we get a contract. What it would cost to contract them to pick up so many households in the city. of New Ulm. A legal contract,
That would be a bid
a
process.
bid.
So the motion is for Mr. Ritchie stated
Get
that
bids on.
he wants an official bid process. Like to go with everybody and whoever bids on it, bids on it. Need a second.
That be with a opt-out clause or without?
If you put the opt-out clause in it, then the people that opt out, it's gonna cost more for the ones that get it than it does without it. I don't think the opt-out clause should be in there.
So go out for an official bid with a no opt-out clause.
Right.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second on that motion? Motion made by,
I would still, myself, I would like to just say, take a number like 80%. What I would like, I mean, then you've got a rough, a little more of an idea of what, because we know some people are not getting garbage now. To go out and ask for 100% of the households, I think is gonna throw our number off. So I'm just throwing a figure out to give them an idea. That's just the way I feel. I would like to see them go out and get a bid.
so motion made by Mr. Ritchie to go out and get an official bid with a no opt-out clause. Second, Mr. Herder. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
No. So let's see, we got 2 no's,
3 no's.
3 no's.
I didn't vote. I'm not on the committee, but I can vote. though,
Yep.
right? No.
4 no's.
Okay, well, and Belinda says, my opinion is we get better information, the cost, both for opting in, opting out. She says yes. She votes yes.
So we got 4 no's. And we got 5 yeses, correct?
Who's all yes?
Let's get the yeses with the hands up.
No.
2, 4, 5,
Belinda would be 6.
6 will be 6 yes. And the no's. The reason I'm voting no, because I don't like the no clause.
Me neither.
That's the reason I'm voting no on this. And we have 4 no's. So the motion carried.
One quick question on that subject. Does the city require a license or something from garbage collectors in the city?
Yes, there is a garbage license. It's nominal, but it's just so that the city knows who's collecting garbage in the
Who's
city.
picking
So,
garbage up?
but
Have
that's
we
the
ever-
way it's now because it's free for all. Citywide contract might be different.
Have we ever looked at increasing that fee to make up for like our gas money to walk out and get the mail and stuff?
It's a nominal. fee.
Okay.
The point of it's just to know who's in town, more so than anything, that fee is not a moneymaker fee.
But it could be something used to supplement increased prices of our constituents.
I think the subsidize for the staff time that we need, that would come from the overall assessment process built in to what the collection costs would be as well. That's
Right.
the way it's gonna have,
I was just thinking on the lines of if leaning on a business is something you wanna do. To lower your prices and stop the increases in the customer prices, well then, you can do that. You know, for example, the price of a liquor license could go up 100%. Or the price of a garbage collection license could go up 100%.
But they're going to,
Just putting that thought, I'm thinking on everything here, but because the object here is to say, when do the price increases, when does the gouging stop? If that is really what's happening.
and the thing is, if you increase your license fee, they're just gonna pass that on to
To the customer,
the customer. Yeah. Which is counterproductive, I think, which
Right.
it's trying to do now.
right? So we're kind of at the crossroads in everything today, I guess.
So motion carried, and being that I'm the chair of this committee, I agree that we should get competitive bidding, but I do not like the opt-out clause, and that's why I voted no. Just so it's stated. Okay, we will move on. Discussion of Outagamie County proposed administrative rule for county truck highway improvement. Local cost share. Is that Robert or?
Yeah, that's me. Just wanted to bring this up, like I said, in my memo, does not affect us, in a large way, but this is something that Outagamie County brought up to all communities that are within, Outagamie County, late last fall. And they wanted to update their administrative rule for, any county trunk road that they improve, within a municipality or township, just to state their, sharing cost. The major change in this was the right-of-way acquisition. Like I said in my memo, it really won't affect us when it comes time to do Mill Street and Beacon. I don't anticipate any right-of-way acquisition for any of that project whatsoever. It's just been kind of a hot topic because this was brought up and they wanna make this change, even involving projects that are in the planning process. So for some municipalities, they're looking at quite a increase in cost in their construction project due to some of these projects involving like pedestrian walkways and biking lanes and stuff like that nature, where they have to acquire quite a bit of right of way. They now are gonna be looking at 50% of that cost, which for some of those bigger projects, the closer you get to the valley, it's quite an increase, but I didn't want it to come out and you know, you hear about this and, oh, what's this gonna mean for us? Everything else is pretty much the 50-50 share. And I really don't foresee it being any kind of large increase to our projects coming up with Mill and Beacon. Does anybody have any questions on that?
They also did adjust the bike ped percentages as well. I don't know if you want to kind of talk about that.
Yeah, and that, where it says see below, only when required by project funding agreements, a WISDOT, a state, SMA. Otherwise, it's 100% local. So, for that, it just has that portion where it involves a state project where the funding would change for that.
Will this have any effect on us for Shawano Street out?
That is a Wapaka project.
Okay,
It is a STP, so it is a WISDOT project. With that, when I talked to Wapaka County, they had no plans on trying to acquire. We have or they have quite a bit of right of way there to begin with, and even if we were to go with a sidewalk on the east side, we're still within the right of way, so acquisition wise. And then it would be, that would be split, so if it's a 80-20 grant, it would be a 10% cost share between the both of us, being a Shawano Street County D type program.
Outagamie County, we obviously don't have a lot of county highways in the city for Outagamie County. We have a little bit more in Wapaka County, but for the upcoming Mill Street project, which I don't know what year they're talking about now, were they
That's
targeting?
27, 26 will be underground, 27 would be the county doing the work on the roadway.
So Highway T, which is Mill Street and Beacon, you know, this
Potentially
proposed rule will be on the hook for 50% of the construction cost. Well,
the land acquisition.
well, there shouldn't be any land acquisition for the Mill Street project,
Okay.
but, you know, we'll still be on 50% of the cost of the project.
Okay, thanks. Any other discussion? All right, thanks, Robert. Next, director's report. Mr. Garski.
So one service anniversary, Mary Mason, custodian, 2 years of service on January 22nd. So I figured I'd brief you where we're at on Oshkosh Street. The project will be posted for bid in the local paper starting Thursday to the 9th, which is this upcoming Thursday. It has to run for 2 weeks. It will make our project bid opening on the 23rd of January. So we hope to, I hope to have that recommendation for you at the next Board of Public Works in February. And then there'll be other steps involved also for the assessment process. But to have that throughout February, through the board meeting, and then through the public hearing for the council meeting in late February. There will also be 11 property owners that will be receiving a letter from me. Each one will kind of be personalized per what's going to happen in front of their property within the right of way. Most of it's just trees that will be cut down to make, not to make room, but right now they're so close to the curb and gutter that they're affecting the curb and gutter as it is. So they'll be removing those. Others will be a couple of properties that have fencing within the right of way, some bushes. There's other ones with decorative stone all the way out to the roadway, things of that nature that they'll have the option to remove out of the right of way before the construction starts, because some of it will have to be removed in order to place that new curb and gutter. Even if it's in that same track, that same location, you still have the width of the machine plus the new base going in. So they will be receiving a letter and an explanation on what's going on, and definitely my number to reach out with any questions, and I'll meet with them if they have those questions. House in Alcan Road, the project design is 100% complete. It's in the state's hands. They will be putting it out to the bid letting for that is February 11th. So by the end of that week, we should hear something as far as who the contractor is and where that bid came in at. And then within Public Works, we're in the process of hiring a new facilities technician, we just finished up, interviews, so we'll be sitting down and going over that paperwork and, hopefully have a new facility, a full-time facility technician on board by the end of the month. And that is all I have for the report.
Thank you, Robert. Future agenda items? We're gonna have that,
Yeah, for the names of streets, there's a lot of the streets, I know Robert said that he's got some ordered, but there's a lot of streets in town that don't have street signs.
Mhm.
And it's hard for your emergency services. Local people get around. I think that we should get them up so people know where they're at.
I would say that if you have specific intersections, unless you have a list, but just tell Robert and it's something that just get her done.
And as the crews go out, I have been receiving, they'll either, text me or they'll, give Luke the, name of, or the street sign missing, we compile the list, that order should be in within a week, cause I had a list from, November, December, so I put in that order and that should be arriving soon, and then after that, we'll whittle away as much as we can. I mean, I put that as a priority, in that operating budget line item by far, so yes, there are quite a few, even if the street name sign is up there, some of the lettering is all but gone on some of them, so it is definitely 100% on the radar and trying to tackle it as fast as we can with the budget we have.
Thank you, sir.
And just remind anybody out there, if you see a missing street sign, you know, whether it was hit, whether someone stole it, just call the Public Works Department and identify them, because we're not out there searching for street signs every day, but, you know, help us out and just notify the Public Works Department and let them know.
One thing, I was driving through town last night and noticed that the snowflakes were down.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed the snowflakes. It was, you know, a lot of people enjoyed it. I've heard several comments like, why do we take it down? It's still winter. I don't know if that's something maybe we could look into. Maybe even switching them out to shamrocks for the next season and American flags for the next season or whatever. It definitely gave an additional lighting to the downtown. And a little bit of uniqueness and, you know, beauty. So some future agenda items, maybe if you could look into, you know, getting more, you know, different seasonal ones. I mean, I don't know, it's an idea. I really enjoyed the snowflakes. A lot of people enjoyed the snowflakes.
I like that idea.
Style was awesome. It just,
We can get that on there.
That's more on, seeing as how you liked them so much, I'll give Ginger the kudos, cause that's more on Park and Rec. And I'm all good with giving her, or, you know, letting that be all hers, so if you wanna bring it up tomorrow, absolutely, and I can mention it to her, tomorrow as well, but. The decor downtown is 100%
I'm guessing the guys took them down in the same timeline as they did with
previous,
previous ones, but
yes.
you guys actually liked them, so.
Yeah, we can bring that up tomorrow, or we can have it on this one also. Yet again, if anybody comes up with any future agenda items, thoughts,
We'll
Let
have
us know.
a fairly full schedule because we'll have, I'll have the contracts ready for yard waste sites, for that meeting for Muckwa and Caledonia. If they wanna stay on, there'll also be, assessment items on that, so. We'll have to pack a supper for February.
it sounds good. Next Board of Public Works meeting is February 3rd at 5:15. Should have no conflicts there. If there's nothing else, looking for motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion for adjournment, Mr. Barrington, second by Mr. Ritchie. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.